Thank you for calling the USGA. This is how can I help you today?
Hi, my name is Big Boy Pants Golf, and I'd like to open a formal inquiry on Rory McIlroy's embedded ball drop on the 14th hole of this past U.S. Open. How can I go about doing that?
Thank you for calling the United States Golf Association. If you're calling with questions or need information about the USGA membership program, please press 1. Please hold while we find an available support agent to assist you. If you cannot find your member ID number or to purchase a new membership, please press 1 now. Thank you. Please wait while we transfer you to the next available customer service representative. Thank you for calling the USGA. This is how can I help you today?
Hi, my name is Big Boy Pants Golf, and I'd like to open a formal inquiry on Rory McIlroy's embedded ball drop on the 14th hole of this past U.S. Open. How can I go about doing that?
Okay. Here, I'm not quite sure myself here in the membership department. I do apologize.
Well, it's very
I'm not quite
important.
sure if this is.
Well, it's important because in terms of USGA membership, the members have to know the rules, and I'm pretty sure that Rory McIlroy violated the rules on the 14th hole.
Understand. I understand, sir. That's why I was going to say I'm going to give you the phone number for the Rules of Golf Department because they will be able to assist you with that. I don't have any avenue to start that here in this department, even though, as you said, it is important to membership. So whenever you're ready, I can give you that phone number.
I'm ready.
Okay, it's 908.
Okay.
326.
Okay.
1850.
All right, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good afternoon. How can I help you?
Hi, my name is Big Boy Pants Golf, and I'm interested in getting information regarding Rory McIlroy's drop on the 14th hole from an embedded lie at this past U.S. Open.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from outside the Vegas area, sir.
Okay. What would you like to know?
Well, in terms of the drop, when I read the rules in terms of 16.3, it says the reference point is a spot right behind the ball, and you get a club length from there. So I don't understand from watching on air and watching the video footage how Rory was able to almost be on the fringe of the putting green.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was ultimately an incorrect drop at the direction of a referee.
All right, I appreciate your input because this has obviously been actively debated on Twitter. Diagrams are being put up. The actual footage is being inspected. And, you know, if you look at a person's arm, even in terms of the referee's arm, average 6-foot-tall man's arm is 35 to 37 inches long. I don't see how the spot the ball was at would, reach out that far, considering even if Rory used his driver at 46 inches, it's not going to get you out close to the fringe, correct? And also, I just have one more quick question. In terms of abnormal conditions, the abnormal conditions of a tunnel does not apply, correct?
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. What do you mean a tunnel?
Well, there's a section within the USG rulebook related to 16.3 that discusses abnormal conditions for a drop, such as a tunnel, in which case you'd have to obviously get it up to surface level. Even though the ball here was below the surface of the green, that section of the USG rulebook wouldn't be applicable, correct?
Well, this is dealing with an embedded ball.
Todd Bailey, PGA. Call the USGA. Bet you $100 you won't do it. Todd, you owe me $100. All right, in terms of your viewing of the situation, would a ball that's hit by a pitching wedge, presumably, from 130 yards out, coming down at a steep angle of descent, likely embed in a vertical wall in dry U.S. Open conditions, sir?
I can't speculate on that. I don't know. I wasn't there to see it. I wasn't there to see the lie.
Right. In terms of that, would you think that a person who was 5 feet away would be able to determine if it was embedded or not until you've removed the ball? Because you cannot see through a ball to see if it has broken the surface of the earth, correct?
Well, you're allowed to lift the ball to see if it's embedded.
Right, but just by
Without
being
penalty.
right, but just by being 5 feet away, until it's lifted, you can't tell that the ball has broken the surface of the knot. You know, some person on Twitter is saying that they were 5 feet away from that ball. But unless, of course, you lift the ball first, you can't tell if it's broken the surface of the earth. That's fair to presume, correct?
Well, sometimes you can. I mean, your ball's embedded in the fairway. You don't need to lift to determine if it's embedded.
All right, but in this case, would you be able to put that together with the fact that, again, it's a pitching wedge shot on dry U.S. Open conditions, that the referee herself who was there had to use her fingers, as did Rory, thereby, likely pointing out the fact that, you can't just look through a ball and see if it's broken the surface of the ground.
I'm not sure I understand what the question is that you're asking me.
Well, you've just said that basically, yes, in certain situations, you can see that the ball is embedded in the ground. If it's a rainy day, you don't have to lift it because you can clearly see it's embedded. But by the point that that Rory and the rules official had to lift the ball to see if it's embedded, a person just using glasses and being 5 feet away can't see through the ball to see it's embedded because Rory McILROy himself and the rules official lady had to move it to check with their hands.
Well, I guess what's ultimately I'd ask you, what is the point of the question that you're asking? I mean, what are we talking about here? Are you asking me if the ball was embedded, or are you asking me whether the right ruling was made, or what? I'm just trying to I'm having a hard time figuring out what the direction of your question is.
Perfect.
Ultimately,
there's actually two issues, and I'm glad you raised this. The likelihood of it being embedded, and again, I pointed out it's a pitching wedge shot, coming down on a steep angle descent into a vertical wall in dry U.S. Open conditions. This is important because unlike the Farmers Open, where Rory had the same issue happen, it was so wet that period of time that they were playing lift, clean, in place. Here, it's the fourth day of the U.S. Open where the USGA intentionally lets it dry out a little bit to make it harder, correct? So you're on Sunday of a U.S. Open, and you're trying to convince people that your ball with a pitching wedge hit a vertical wall and embedded there, and it wasn't due to the USGA, USGA's rough. I mean, that's what they're essentially, what Rory is trying to do here, with claiming an embedded ball coming down to the wire for a U.S. Open. And the second issue is, if it was embedded, even in the case it was embedded, that was at the right drop, because I've never seen a situation where a guy goes from looking basically unplayable, which happens a lot in the USGA and in the U.S. Open, where you're down deep in the rough because the rough is intentionally grown, and then walking out of the problematic area and almost dropping it on the green. So the whole, Twitterverse is looking for a ruling or some information as to, in the future, if I'm playing at my club championship, do I get that same kind of drop? Because they're going to literally be fist fights in parking lots, because some people will be now referencing this situation, and the USG hasn't provided clear clarification whether this is how you drop in a situation like this.
Yeah, I think we will. I don't believe we've said anything publicly yet, and I don't know when or if that will happen, but presumably it will. But I'm not sure I can comment any further than that at this point.
All right, perfect. My final question is, I think you're also familiar as a USGA expert in terms of Rory's drop in the Farmers Open. Remember when Patrick Reed got grief for lifting up his embedded ball, even though he notified his playing partner and called an official over because it was wet conditions and the ball clearly bounced before it was claimed to be embedded, but Rory in the same tournament, in the same round, did the same thing? Why is Rory continually getting these embedded ball relief drops and no one's questioning his integrity?
I'm not going to answer that question, because that competition and I wasn't there. So I'm not going to, I can't answer that, and I'm not going to answer that question.
All right. Well, you know what? I appreciate your time. You have told me that essentially it was a bad drop. Where should he have actually dropped it in that case? Because you're in the vertical wall where you're claiming it's embedded. Now, if I'm in a club championship, where's my options? I can't drop in the bunker. I have to be dropping through the green, or what's the term the USGA uses?
Oh, the general area?
Exactly. So now, so that I can inform others, I can't drop it. I can't pull it, take it out, use a club length, and drop it in the bunker, because that's not relief, correct?
When your ball is embedded in the general area, then your relief area is in the general area. Yes.
So here, do you also take into account that it's the 46 inches? Are we assuming that everything's on the same surface level, or do you account for the fact that it's 15 inches down, and that counts as part of your 46 inches? If you know what I mean, because
the rule says that you drop one club length from the reference point, which is the spot immediately behind the ball on the ground. So when you measure, you're measuring along the ground when you're applying that rule.
So you're measuring on the same horizontal plane as the ball is on. Or do you?
Well, you're measuring, if it's a steep slope, you might be measuring up the slope and across the top.
Perfect.
If somehow that one club length gets you to.
So you have to account for the above and across in that situation, not just across, correct?
Yeah, it's all circumstantial. It depends on where your ball is. It's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all, but when you are measuring, you're measuring along the ground.
Perfect. Along the ground, accounting for the vertical difference. You don't subtract that or ignore that vertical difference. You also take that into account. It's strict. I have my club, usually a 46-inch driver, and I'm measuring right from behind that spot. There's no variation from that in terms of accounting for, the fact that it's above the ground or in a vertical wall, correct?
Yeah, it could be like 23 inches along the ground, along the slope, and then it could be 23 inches on flat area. If that's where your ball is, if that's the topography near your ball, then that's possible.
Okay, so just for the last point to clarify it, and this is obviously not the situation, but if the ball is 3 feet above the ground, I don't account for the 3 feet above the ground, or in this case, 3 feet below the ground. It's just take my club, put the butt end right behind the ball, and then wherever that 46 inches goes, that's not closer to the hole, that's where I can drop it.
Well, we're talking about an embedded ball rule, so your ball can't be above the ground.
Okay. Well, in terms of, it was on a vertical wall.
Right, but your ball's not below the ground. Or it's not above the ground. If your ball's embedded, it's below the level of the ground.
Right, but
it can't be above the ground.
But I'm talking from the macro level. It's in that vertical wall, which that whole bunker area was below the surface of the green. So you're not taking it up and then measuring it as if it was on the surface of the green level. You're taking that drop from 46 inches, or your longest club length, from the, I guess it would be the y-axis of the ball, where it's laying in the face of the vertical cliff.
When you're measuring under the embedded ball rule, or it could be another rule where there's a reference point, then you're going to measure along the surface of the ground. You can't measure through the ground. You're measuring along the surface of the ground.
Okay, so if you're measuring along the surface of the ground, then it's even a smaller area, because you have to account for the up angle and then the forward angle, or the slightly reverse angle, because you have to drop behind this reference point. So you're actually losing kind of an overall.
Well, I mean, it all depends on where the ball is and where the hole is. So again, it's not a one size fits all thing. No.
But where should this, in this situation, because you've obviously seen it and you're potentially going to put out some ruling on it, where should the drop have been done?
Well, I'm not going to speculate on that either. I think it's better that if we haven't made a public declaration on that yet, so I think it's probably best to just wait for that to happen. I'm not going to necessarily break news.
Okay,
at
I understand.
This point, I'd rather just wait for us to provide an answer as an organization.
So will this ruling only affect the U.S. Open and the U.S. course, the U.S. rulings, or will this also be released before the Open, aka the British Open? Just in case the same situation happens again, you're going to have Twitter people debating this ad nauseum.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I think we could agree that there's a lot of misinformation on Twitter, so I'm not sure that we necessarily. I'm not sure that we feel obligated to.
Well, no, 100%.
Said on Twitter, and whether we need to correct what's on Twitter or not. But I mean, I think we're certainly obligated. I think to provide an answer to the questions that we get, or any questions that we get about this ruling or any other ruling that happens, so that people have an understanding of how the rules are supposed to be applied and how they are applied.
All right. Do you have any timeline when that ruling would come out? Because literally it's one of the hot topics regarding the rules of golf right now, and it's all over Twitter. I know you don't.
Sure.
Will it be within the next month, or will it be by the British Open, or will it be something for 2024?
No, I would expect it to be pretty soon. I don't know when exactly.
All right, perfect. I appreciate your time. I need that clarified because there are people actively misinforming people on Twitter right now, and I'm there to jump in with, hey, this is what the USGA says. It's not what these people like applying the wrong rules or misunderstanding or not understanding the club length parameters of the rule. So I appreciate your time and have a wonderful day.
Can you tell me your name again? Would you mind telling me your name again?
Sure. My name is Big Boy Pants Golf. I'm the CEO of the YouTube's hottest golf channel.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So what is your name then?
It's Big Boy Pants Golf. It's like...
You don't have a name. That's your name?
Yes. It's like Madonna. Once you adopt, a certain lifestyle, you become that lifestyle.
I understand.